Hello, my name is Nick Grant and I'm the Labour Party's parliamentary candidate for Twickenham in the general election 2015. Today I'm at Teddington Health and Social Care Centre, you can see behind me, which is round the back of Teddington Memorial Hospital. Today I'm going to be going behind some of the statistics that we've all seen on the NHS, the crisis in A&E. We've all read about it. I'll be talking to a couple of people, Labour Party members, who have nonetheless got direct experience of that crisis.
I've just recently retired from the NHS after 41 years as a nurse. Many different jobs in the NHS, from ward sister to unit manager to health visitor.
I'm an A&E doctor, I'm a registrar currently. I work in London. Started off my career in Scotland, so I've seen the Scottish NHS and the English NHS. It's certainly been noticeable over the years I've been working that we have become increasingly busy.
We've seen statistics such as 62% of routine operations have been being cancelled over the Christmas period. Does that tally with your experience?
What it boils down to is a capacity issue. There are a certain number of beds. You can't discharge somebody unsafely. If there's nothing to discharge somebody to, and it's not safe, then it's not safe to discharge. And this is particularly acute for our older folk who are living in the community. We've seen over the years a decrease in the amount of social support available. It means that when you have an older, vulnerable person with no support in the community, we can't discharge.
So Christina, this sense of there being a problem out there in the community, so creating a logjam in the hospital itself, does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. And I think what happened when the coalition came to power and they started talking about increasing the care in the community, that we would move away from hospitals, certain A&Es would be closed and the care would be given in the community. However, they then also at the same time started cutting the social care budget.
So this was part of the austerity programme,
yes.
And I think there are figures that 6,000 less community nurses than there were before 10 years ago. So the answer for you and A&E, what you want to do really is to go in, mend as quickly as possible and refer on. You'd really depend upon the outreach.
It's what we call flow. We need to have flow within the hospital environment. Now flow can take a patient from A&E to support in the community, to direct discharge, and they manage their own self-care, or alternatively inpatient care within the hospital environment, or transfer to another hospital if your hospital doesn't have capacity, or if it doesn't have the specialty that you require. It all goes back to the same point. If you haven't got the beds, people aren't moving.
District nurses, community nurses are still there and they are going in to give care. However, their time has been limited. 1 unit equals 15 minutes. So if they're going in to see a diabetic patient who might need an insulin injection, that will be 1 unit of care. So that's 15 minutes. However, when you go in, as a nurse, you want to look at the patient as a whole. We want to give holistic care. So if we're time limited, it's very difficult. So community nurses feel in a lot of instances that they're rushing.
Peter Carter, the RCN chief, was saying earlier this week there's an increasing rate of burnout amongst nursing.
Yes, and that is we are seeing that. Sickness rates amongst nurses is going up. That's across the board in hospital and in community. And they're going off with stress as well. Now, we all know that nursing and medicine are stressful jobs. We know that when we come into it. But we were getting job satisfaction, and I think a lot of times now we don't have that job satisfaction. And the other thing, we're being portrayed in the media as people who don't really care anymore. We've had a lot of bad publicity
But that's just
recently.
the nature of the time management, the strict time management that you're now under. What do you think some of the solutions are?
I think we definitely need to put money into community nursing and backup. We also need to look at welfare. You know, there's been huge welfare cuts and that has a knock-on effect.
The coalition came in and one of its flagship policies was the Health and Social Care Act. It was never in any party manifesto, as far as I can see. How did that go down? How does the reorganisation actually felt to practitioners like yourselves?
The cost of the Social Care Act reported at 2 billion. I think that's 2 billion that could have been spent better. I really do.
Do you agree, Christina?
I do, and I think one of the other things we have to look at is what we call creeping privatisation of the NHS. A lot of the urgent care centres are run by Care UK. Community nurses in Surrey are run by Virgin. Now that has an effect on the staff as well. Some of the carers who are going to see some of our most vulnerable people in their own homes are on 0 hours contracts. Nothing can be looked at in isolation, and the whole of the coalition's policies on care and employment and creeping privatisations all have that effect on where we are in A&E now.
Absolutely.
And that's,
It seems to be quite a fundamental choice between whether you accept a sort of market-driven, competitive mechanism inside the NHS, and what I'd contrast that with is what I see from you two and other people that I've met that work there, is that there's pay and salary and conditions, and then there's something else which in NHS which is about integrity, public service, an ethic around self-sacrifice and helping people. I don't want to sort of go over the top, but it seems to me that's a basic motivating force.
Absolutely.
Which you can't capture in a market. That's
and I think
the
that
point.
The reason the health service is still here is because that's
Because of that.
how we feel. You know, we do want to work in the NHS. You know, I wouldn't have worked in the NHS for 41 years if I didn't believe in it.
So the next election, let's look to the next election. We're obviously campaigning for a Labour government. Tell me how important you think it is that Labour get in and not the Conservatives.
To my mind, the only political party that has the best interests of the NHS at heart is the Labour Party. To my mind, the British public are mimically tied to a free point of care delivery system that's fair, that induces equity, and doesn't, how can I put it, doesn't treat people on the basis of who they are. They treats people on the basis of
need.
what, indeed.
I think that if Labour don't win this election, we won't have an NHS as we know it any longer.
Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
This is a hospital that was the result of Labour investment when Labour was in government. So it's something, hopefully, that we will be able to celebrate and repeat again after the election in 2015.